You've just entered the No Delusion Zone. I'm David DeBatto. Today I have no guests. It's going to be just me and you. This is going to be one of the occasional, and I hope more often, kinds of podcasts and episodes that I'm going to be doing throughout the remainder of 2025. And what I mean by that is instead of always interviewing the fantastic guests that I do get, I'm going to be giving my personal opinion on the most, what I consider critical, important issues of the day regarding both the United States and the world. And today, as I record this, we are 2 days away from the inauguration of Donald Trump, which will take place on Monday, January 20th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And it's no secret, at least to those who have listened or read my articles over the last 3 or 4+ years, that I think that Donald Trump is the biggest danger to American democracy. He's also the biggest danger to Western democracies in general. The man is a disgrace. He is a convicted felon. He's a cheat. He's a criminal. He is a multi-bankrupted businessman. He is a misogynist. He is an adjudicated rapist. He is a congenital liar. I could go on, but I think you get the idea. I cannot still believe, over 2 months after the election, that at least a very small majority, I think it was 49.9% or 8% of American voters voted for Donald Trump again as president. This leaves a real pain in my gut and in my heart that so many Americans believed all of his lies, that so many Americans are that stupid to not only believe his lies, but even if they detested Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, detested them, how could they vote for a dictator, someone who has said many, many times that he will shred the Constitution and become a dictator, that he doesn't like democracy, he doesn't like education, he doesn't like progress, he doesn't believe in climate change. He doesn't give a damn about whether our environment is polluted or not, whether we have clear, potable drinking water, whether we have clear skies, whether we can even breathe. The wildfires in California right now, of course, were not caused by climate change. They were caused by poor policies by a Democratic governor and a Democratic-led legislature in California. It has nothing to do with climate change. The man is a monster. The man is a disgusting, disgraceful monster. He's illiterate. By his own admission, he hasn't read a book since high school. And in high school, he bluffed his way through by not reading anything because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth to the tune of $500 million that was gifted to him by his father. $500 million, which he lost once he received the money, whenever he was eligible to get it at age 18 or 21. Like I said, a multi-bankrupt individual. He's just a real piece of work. He is not a good person. Did I mention an insurrection? This is a man who orchestrated an insurrection against the United States of America. He tried to overturn a lawful election. He instigated violence at the United States Capitol on January 6th, 2021, that resulted in at least 5 deaths that we know of, hundreds of arrests, I think over 1,000 actually. That alone disqualifies him legally, constitutionally, to be president of the United States. But, did I forget or not say yet? The Supreme Court nullified that. because in their incredible decision last year, they decided that a sitting president is immune from virtually any criminal prosecution, for even the most serious of crimes, such as murder, espionage, rape, you name it. He can't be prosecuted. He can't even be investigated. So, in addition to all the other crimes that I mentioned, we have a president that was indicted for espionage, giving away, showing the most sensitive nuclear secrets this nation possesses to whoever walked into his bathroom or living room or any other room at Mar-a-Lago, and incited a riot to overturn an election, essentially a self-coup. A self-coup meaning he wanted to stay in power regardless of the results of the election. An insurrection. That makes him constitutionally ineligible to be president. But the Supreme Court nullified that, and the stupid MAGA people who voted for him don't give a damn about that. They don't care. They don't care if they have a violent rapist criminal who can't read, an illiterate fool, as their president. Someone who's now going to slap tariffs up to 25% or more on some of our best allies, such as Canada, Mexico. China's not exactly an ally, but we do get the vast majority of our goods from China. And he's going to slap a tariff on them, not really understanding what tariffs are, because, again, he's illiterate and he's a moron. What those tariffs are going to do, folks, if you don't already know, is raise the prices for the goods and services that China and Canada and Mexico provide to the United States. It's not going to increase the prices of goods and services in China and Mexico and Canada. No. The companies in China, Mexico, and Canada are going to turn around, and they're going to charge the 25% or so of those tariffs to American companies, to American distributors. And those companies and distributors are going to do, guess what? They're going to pass along those increased costs to you, the American public. And if you think the cost of eggs and milk and all the other services and goods that were high now under Joe Biden, wait till Canada and China and Mexico start slapping those tariff fees onto American companies and distributors, who in turn slap those fees onto you for just about everything that you buy. Kind of get the picture now? Probably not, because if you're MAGA and watching this, you've already tuned me out. You don't want to listen because MAGA doesn't like facts, inconvenient facts, or really any facts. That's why they love Trump. He loves the poorly educated. He said that, 2017. And if you are one of the poorly educated, or at least a low information individual who doesn't like to read either, or listen to any facts that are critical of your cocoon, then you don't care about what I just said. And you're not going to believe that your prices for everything that you're going to buy over the next year or two or three are going to go up, probably astronomically, because of Donald Trump. Not Joe Biden, because of Donald Trump. And you're going to be hurting. Forget just the price of goods and services. What about the fact that Donald Trump wants to raise the age at which individuals can apply for Social Security? Oh, you didn't hear about that one. Not only that, how about decreasing the amount of Social Security that is paid out whenever you are old enough to get Social Security? So you're going to have to wait longer and get less when you finally receive Social Security. You didn't hear about that either? Shame on you. What about limiting or very drastically cutting Medicaid and Medicare? Oh, you're retired now and you're on Medicare. Well, I hate to tell you, it may not be there for too long. And if it is, it may be drastically cut back. So what it covers is a lot less, and you are going to have to pay a lot more or just forego that surgery. So what? Just suffer a little bit more. Suck it up. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, which is what Republicans say. If you're too poor or you didn't work hard enough during your life, you don't deserve any help from the government anyway, whether through Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid or anything else. If you're too sick and too poor and too stupid, well, just die and be done with it. At least that's what MAGA thinks. Believe me, they do think that. And you think that Donald Trump, a self-professed billionaire, really gives a damn about you? Ha! That's really stupid if you do. You're all against the elites, right? Which you think are all Democrats. Well, guess what? They're not. Donald Trump is an elite. How about old Elon Musk, your other buddy? He's a billionaire. How about Kash Patel? How about Vivek Ramaswamy? He's a billionaire. They're all billionaires. All the tech bros that you love, they're all billionaires and they don't give a good damn about you. They're going to suck you dry. They're going to suck this country dry. They're going to give themselves even more tax cuts and raise your taxes more and cut your benefits more. You don't believe it? Fine, fine. Just stand by. Just wait a while after January 20th and see your benefits erode. See the cost of everything that you want or need go up because of Donald Trump and MAGA, because he lied to you. It's really pitiful. But you know what? If you don't read, if you're illiterate, you only stay in a MAGA cocoon online, and you do your own research and just talk to like-minded morons, well, you're going to get moronic information. You're going to get imbecilic information. And guess what? You're going to remain an imbecile. Isn't that something? Well, the whole point of this today was not only to say what I just said, but to move along to what is surely a disaster and the end of our democracy. The very, very beginning of the end of our democracy come noon on January 20th. After that, the clown circus of appointees, of nominees to the cabinet of Trump's cabinet are going to start. They've already started the nomination process, the hearings for his nominations, but they will be secured and appointed and put into place very, very soon after the 20th. And I just want to briefly go down the list of these disgusting, ridiculous individuals who are going to assist Donald Trump in completely destroying what is left of our democracy. And you voted for him, folks, if you did. I'm assuming that there's some MAGA people out there, or maybe not even MAGA. They just voted for Trump because they're idiots. Well, listen to this list. How about let's start with Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Is that a horrible thing to say together? Pete Hegseth and Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. A drunk, an alcoholic, an abuser of women, it sounds like a complete, disgusting psychopath who can't hold his drink, just a real bro who gets into barroom altercations. His experience in running a business or businesses or management experience consists of running two nonprofit veteran organizations into the ground. And yet he's going to take over an almost $1 trillion a year agency, the Department of Defense, with millions of employees, both uniformed and civilian. This womanizing drunk who can't manage his way out of a bar fight is going to be our Secretary of Defense. And of course, he's a Trump bootlicker, so he's going to do whatever Trump says as Secretary of Defense, and he's going to have the most powerful military in world history behind him. If that means putting boots on the ground in Chicago or New York or LA or any other so-called democratic blue state, he'll do it. He will put the active duty military on the streets of America to do Trump's bidding, whether that's to quash crime or to round up illegals, undocumented immigrants, or illegal aliens, if you will. He'll do it in a heartbeat. Wait. And the next person on the list, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, who is probably, if not on the payroll of the Kremlin, wishes she was, because she mouths Kremlin talking points pretty much whenever she talks. Another moron, an illiterate idiot, who, as a major in the Army Reserve, is basically in the medical supply business. Yeah, well, she's been nominated to be the Director of National Intelligence, DNI. The boss, basically, someone who oversees all of our, I believe it's 16 intelligence agencies, someone with no military or civilian intelligence background at all, someone with very little to no management experience at all, someone who regularly praises Putin, who mouths Kremlin talking points, who blames NATO for the war in Ukraine, for forcing poor Vova to have to invade Ukraine to defend Russia against those poor, horrible, gay Nazis in Kyiv. Oh, that's going to be the director of our national intelligence. Can't wait. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. never met a vaccine he didn't hate. There's so much I could say about him. I'm not, because I have a longer list to go through here. He wants to stop polio vaccines. In fact, all vaccines that children have been getting for the last, 50 years. Vaccines that have stopped plagues, that have stopped millions of children and adults from dying or getting very, very sick. He wants to do away with them because, after all, you can't really trust vaccines. You can't trust the federal government, the FDA, or Health and Human Services to really do anything right. And probably, according to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., vaccines cause more deaths and injuries and disease than they prevent. So why not just trash them all and go with homeopathic cures? Let's go back in time, hundreds or thousands of years, to what people did back then. Most people only lived to be about 30. And it was a very hard 30 years. So what? But it was natural. Natural. They didn't have to worry about any federal government forcing them to wear masks or take those horrible vaccines that don't protect anybody and are just a real pain and bother. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Let's see how many people he kills, maims, and makes sick for the rest of their lives, because he's another friggin' moron. Imbecile. Just wait. Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is going to be the Attorney General. I have no doubt she's going to be confirmed by the Congress, the Senate. Pam Bondi is the ultimate bootlicker for Donald Trump. Yes, she's an attorney. Yes, she was the Attorney General of Florida, so she is on paper qualified. But in reality, she's unqualified. She refused to say who won the 2020 election. She only said, President Biden is the president. Oh, thank you very much. She refused to say that Donald Trump lost. She refused to say if she would carry out any unconstitutional or illegal orders for Donald Trump. She doesn't answer hypotheticals. Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, is going to turn a blind eye to any illegal, unconstitutional act of Donald Trump. Another huge, huge step towards illegitimacy and authoritarianism in this country. The loss of our democracy. Having a bootlicking, ass-kissing Attorney General who will not remain independent of the president is a huge step towards the doom of our democracy. Moving along. Going hand in hand, arm in arm, I guess, with Pam Bondi is Kash Patel. Kash Patel actually does have some experience in the intelligence, law enforcement work. He was in counterintelligence, or at least he was a manager, supervisor, director in a counterintelligence capacity in the federal government. I'll give him that. He has no qualifying law enforcement or investigative experience to be the director of the FBI, the premier law enforcement agency, not just in this country, but in the world. The investigative agency that other countries, other democratic countries, send their people to study, to train here with the FBI. And Kash Patel, another first-class bootlicker, ass kisser, is going to be the director of the FBI, a person who has said many, many times he will take revenge on Donald Trump's political enemies. Isn't that just what you want to hear from an impartial director of the FBI? Oh, by the way, he's also a huge fan of QAnon. You don't know about QAnon? Oh, well, look it up on the internet, but until then, QAnon believes that the deep state in America is made up of a bunch of cannibalistic child traffickers. Yeah, led by Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and most all of the Democratic leaders. They're all cannibalistic child sex traffickers. Yeah, and he's going to arrest them all if given a chance, and he's going to go after all of the political enemies of Donald Trump, if just given the word. That's going to be our director of the FBI. Let me see. Linda McMahon, Secretary of Education. Her qualifications? She led the World Wrestling Federation. Yes. Oh, she was head of the biggest wrestling federation in America. She was also sued. In fact, she is currently the defendant in a lawsuit alleging that she facilitated sexual abuse while running the WWE. And of course, a Trump bootlicker. Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin is going to run the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. This is a person who, until very recently, said he doesn't believe in climate change. Oh, now, of course, he does. Now, of course, when he was questioned during his proceedings here, before the Senate, he, of course, says that, oh, yeah, climate change is real. Well, he didn't believe that until very, very recently, and I don't think he's going to believe it after he's confirmed. Just a hunch, just a thought. One more for now. A lot of people are raving, saying very positive things about retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, the newly appointed rapporteur to Ukraine, the Trump's agent, essentially, to Ukraine to try to begin to work out the settlement, some kind of peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. General Kellogg is Trump's man on the ground. And again, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle are saying what a great appointment that was. That he's very, very suspicious of Russia. He's not going to give Putin a break, and on and on and on. And he is suspicious of Russia. He has made some very anti-Kremlin statements in the past. He served in Europe and NATO and so forth, so he's well aware of both the Soviet Union and the Russian threat. He is also an America First bootlicker. He's a board member of the American First Policy Institute. Without getting into great detail, they basically believe that all Democrats are idiots, morons, and traitors, and that all Republicans, especially far right-wing MAGA Republicans, are the only true patriots, and that everything President Biden did and all Democrats before him, was against the best interest of the United States. They've run the country into the ground. It's a disaster, and only through Donald Trump and extreme right-wing policies can America possibly be saved. That's a huge problem. Why? Because even if General Kellogg is suspicious of Russia, He's going to do everything that Donald Trump tells him to do, even if that means, and he's actually alluded to this recently, that means trying to browbeat, twist Zelensky's arm to giving away the occupied territories of Ukraine, to include Crimea and the Donbass, to Russia, to leave them there either to Russia in its entirety or to freeze the conflict where it currently is, with Russian forces occupying the Donbass and Crimea and putting some kind of a security force in place somewhere. That's vague. But basically not allowing Ukraine to reclaim what is theirs, what is legally the territory of Ukraine. That's the latest that I am hearing. And since Putin is not going to accept NATO troops stationed on Ukrainian territory, especially in what he considers to be now Russian territory in Donbass in Ukraine, or a no-fly zone, I can't imagine that Donald Trump and Keith Kellogg and his minions are going to agree to any kind of a settlement that that's going to piss off Putin. That's not going to force some kind of a negotiated settlement in the first, I'll say, 6 months. Even though Donald Trump did promise that he's going to stop the war, settle the war, negotiate a peace deal in 24 hours, which of course was absolute bullshit. I don't care if you say it's just campaign rhetoric. That's bullshit. He really did believe it. And he really did sell MAGA on it. And most of them did believe that. Now it's out to 100 days, and who knows how long it's going to be. The point is, whatever General Kellogg believes in his heart of hearts about Russia and Putin and not trusting anything that they say, if Trump tells him to settle, and settlement means that Ukraine gives away 20% of their territory, meaning the Donbass and Crimea, and that he agrees also that Ukraine will never join NATO, and that the Ukrainian military will be pared down to the point where it cannot defend itself, if that is the bargain that Putin wants, and Trump feels that's his best way out of this and to come out looking like a hero, General Kellogg will agree 100%. And he will do everything in his power to convince President Zelensky to agree to that. I personally don't believe that Zelensky will agree to this. I don't know what he would do in lieu of such a settlement, an appeasement, a surrender. But I believe that if that's what Trump told Kellogg to present to Zelensky and Putin, he would. The bottom line, and I'm going to end this this diatribe, this monologue for now, is that our democracy is doomed. Folks, it's doomed. Whatever happens, however many of his promises to implement the mass deportations, the incredible tariffs he's talking about to put the active duty American military on the streets of America, if even some of those things take place, if he arrests some of his political enemies, all of the horrible things he's talked about, if any of those come true, we're done. We're done. He's already damaged the reputation of America, both internally here in this country as well as across the world, if not permanently, for a very, very long time. I'll be honest with you. I really, really don't know if our democracy is going to survive a second Trump presidency. Even if he drops dead on January 21st, we've got J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson and all the other absolute clowns, circus clowns, to take his place, some of which are even worse because they have all the crass, violent, undemocratic attitudes of Trump, but are actually smarter. Anybody's smarter than Trump. So if he goes away, you're going to have somebody that hates America with a brain running America, which will even be worse. So, folks, I will be back here soon as possible. I intend on doing these kinds of shorter podcasts without interviewing anybody. I promise they'll be shorter than this one, but again, since we have the inauguration coming up in a couple of days, I really wanted to get this out. You probably won't see this until either inauguration day or just after. But I intend on putting out more of these, in addition to interviewing some of the leading figures in the world today, more of them than even last year. So I wish I could give you all better news, at least those non-MAGA, common sense, rational thinking folks who watch my podcast, but I can't. Maybe I will in the near future. I really hope I can, but right now I cannot. So all I can say is to all of you that have a brain, take care, stay safe, and stay sane.